Teamster Power 767 Reality Check with Jeff Schenfeld and Garfield Hooper. All right, Garfield. Once again, let's get right into it.
Right into it.
Yep, today's penalty pay.
Yeah, let's we've talked about this before, but
Yep.
there's apparently
Yeah.
been some confusion, so we wanted to reiterate
Yeah.
on that a little bit. How you go about filing for penalty pay, what you need to do, what qualifies you for penalty pay and that sort of thing. I mean, probably one of the most common forms of penalty pay is failure to give you an 8-hour request that you've requested.
Mhm.
And now it's
Uh-huh.
important to note that even if you file the request and get denied, you
Hmm.
still can file you put in the request form 2 days ahead of time and they deny
Yep.
you, you still
Yep.
are entitled to your 2 hours at double time. And
Yep.
then
Yep.
obviously, if you get it and they still work you over 8.5 hours, which has to
Yep.
be 8.5, they have that 30-minute grace period there. If you go over 8.5 hours,
We're
then
filing.
you still file
Yeah.
on it and you get your 2 hours at double time.
Yeah.
Um,
Yeah. Yeah. It's something people just need to file on it. When I
yeah,
when I see that they haven't granted it or they just, or they haven't, and it's just I tell them, I said, just file it.
yeah.
Okay. Let them deal with it. Let the BAs deal with it, or we'll deal with it if they're looking to settle it right
Yeah.
there. Obviously.
Most of those are pretty easy. Like as a steward, I've been settling those mostly in house, and it's mostly just like,
Now,
hey, you denied it. They look it up on the computer. So, oh yeah, he worked over 8.5. They sign it, and they get their penalty paycheck in a couple of weeks. One of the
yeah.
more lucrative forms of penalty pay is when they screw up your paychecks. And this happens to happen a lot, especially this time of year. If you've got a freeloader or part timer working
Mhm.
or working helper or
Yep.
something like that, somebody's working out of their classification. You got air drivers working, bulk driving ground, stuff like that. The company is
Yeah.
notorious for screwing up people's pay, especially now. It seems like
Yeah.
however much money they're saving using this payment company that they've been using the last few years, they've got to be making up in grievance. We've got to be making up for it in grievance checks because we've gotten thousands of dollars for members for filing for
Yeah.
incorrect pay.
And also, I mean, include in there, I mean, if they don't, your paycheck's wrong, or if you have a settlement on a grievance
Yes,
and they don't pay it within the 2 weeks
yeah,
that
10
they're
days.
allotted.
Yeah,
Yeah. Yeah. So, the most important thing about penalty pay is you have to file within 10 days to get the penalty pay.
yes,
Okay. That's very important. People, will wait because pay claims, you have plenty of time, but when it comes to penalty pay,
yeah,
you have to, file within 10 days.
yeah. Well, okay,
And
so you can
yep,
get the pay claim will go up to 90. So you can get it corrected up to 90 days, but if you wait after 10, you're not going to get your penalty pay.
yes, yes, yes. And penalty pay for part-timers has got to be more than 25, and for full-timers, it's got to be over 50.
Yes.
So yeah, yeah. And they'll I don't know, it just seems like you're right though. They like penalty pays accruing, 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 and it's like, do they not care? You know? And so how many grievances would you file on for penalty pay?
One.
Yep.
You file one
Just one.
grievance. If I have say I have a grievance that's not paid out
Hmm.
correctly, or my pay
Yeah.
scale, my pay thing is wrong. What I do
Yeah.
is I have, and I'll say, hey, my payment's wrong. This is
Hmm.
wrong. And I'll go to
Yes.
my management team and I say, hey, this is
To let
incorrect.
them know.
You need to let
Yep.
them know. Say, hey, can we get this fixed? And like some
Hmm.
managers are be like, sure, we'll put in a adjustment for you. You'll have a check, usually pretty quick. Um,
No.
but you also have those managers and those supervisors that are like, oh yeah, I'll do it. And then 2 weeks later, you still don't have a check. This is where you file your grievance. Once you file your grievance, you get 48,
Yep.
they get 48 hours. And then the first two pay periods after that 48 hours for a full timer, it's 4 hours of penalty pay. And
Yep.
then every pay period after that, it's 8. That's
Yep. Yep.
that was a change in this recent contract. And
Yep. It was.
you've got to think that if they don't get on top of that, you can turn, a couple $100 pay adjustment into
Hmm.
thousands of dollars in penalty pay.
Yeah. Yeah.
We have a few
Yeah.
outstanding ones in my building that management won't settle because they're not allowed to settle at that high of a pay. My managers tell me they can only settle so much. They can only settle for a settlement payments that's so high. But like we've got some that are penalty payments that are outstanding like 8 months, and like
Oh yeah.
you do the
Yeah.
math on that. That's that's a chunk of change for some people
Yeah.
And
Yeah. Yeah. I mean,
yeah,
we just don't want it to get it wrong in the first place, though.
yeah, and
You
that's the
know?
whole point. Like,
Yeah.
it's ridiculous to have to file grievances on getting your pay correct. This is a billion-dollar company. They should
Yeah.
make a point to it. And like, what is it? They're supposed to have a new pay thing go in. Yeah,
By
January 1st of
2026.
2026.
Yeah.
And then
Yep.
at that point, the payment for incorrect for payroll errors goes up. You no longer get the first two at 4 hours. It just starts at 8 right off the bat.
Yeah.
Once that happens.
And remember, the part-time is after 2 pay periods, it goes up to 5 hours.
Oh yeah. So it's 4 hour. It's 4 hours for the first two, and then it's 5 after that, right?
Yes.
Yeah.
Yep. Yep. So
Um.
and what they hope for, like I know they know they mess up the checks and they're hoping no one does anything.
Yeah.
So they can get over. I mean, that's what's been going on for years. So, everyone's got to be on top of it.
Yeah.
They got to be on top of their own pay and they got to, for the 8 hour request I mean, you just have to be on top of, when your settlements, the 10 days and okay, now they owe me, right?
Yeah.
Okay, they didn't pay it. Let's get it filed within 10 days so we can get the penalty pay. So, but if they pay you, but they don't pay the full amount, then you file another grievance for penalty pay because
Exactly.
it's a separate thing.
Yes.
So,
So
but
if they screw it up a second time, every time they
yes,
mess up the payment, it requires another penalty pay grievance. And those are
yes,
Article 17 grievances, in case anybody needs to
hmm
know. That's where the penalty pay
yep,
language is. Um,
yep,
also,
yeah.
I would like to point out that part of this new, I don't know if it, because you were pointing it out to me earlier today.
With the control numbers.
They're supposed to be putting the control numbers
Yep.
on the grievance checks. And I don't know if that's supposed to be being done now
Well,
or if it's supposed to be part of their new like payment thing in 2026.
no, it's UPSers. It's
Okay.
their it's supposed to show up on UPSers.
Okay.
Which would show up on the
Yeah.
check too. But it even says a payroll system monitored by the company,
Yeah.
right? Something, yeah, like that. And it has to be on there, but it's not. And I mean, you got to know which grievance is for what, right?
Yes.
I mean, and
Especially
if
if you
it's
file a lot.
yes, and exactly. If you set like supervised work, if you settle four together, all of them have to be on there, and it says these are combined in this payment. Like we do at the hall when when I was a BA, you just type it into Guadals and you put all. This is inclusive of all grievances, whichever ones were included. So
Yeah,
and it's less questions for the members.
and it's also important. Like I can't stress this enough to keep track of your own grievances. Like if you're filing a penalty pay
Yes.
grievance, if you're filing any grievance at all, 9 5s, 8 hours, whatever. Like make you a spreadsheet at home. Everybody has access to like Google Sheets or something like that.
Mhm.
It
Yep.
doesn't take that long just to keep track of it, keep track of your control numbers that way, so you know what you're getting paid for. Because like your
Yeah.
steward can only do so much, especially if they're handling a lot of other drivers in the center. Like it's not up to your steward to make sure you get paid. It's up to your steward to make sure your grievances are filed and
Yes.
your settlements are done and things like that. Like I can't track every individual person's grievances and settlements. It's got to be on you. If you want to get
Yeah.
paid correctly, you got to keep track of that.
Yep. You got to be a part of it. Yeah,
Yeah.
definitely be a part of the situation, which will help. That I mean, that's you want to know what's going on. So you get that information, you start getting, oh, okay, well, I know what to do, and you be able to tell other people because you kind of become educated for whatever reason,
Yeah.
just from different places, you become educated. Now you can educate someone else. So absolutely. So yeah, I'm glad we talked about this. We needed to talk about it. There was some issues recently, and I mean, there's always issues, but recently especially, and I'm glad we covered it.
Yeah.
So for myself and Garfield, have a good night.
We all deal with national language, but on this podcast, when it comes to supplemental language, we deal mostly with the southern region. And as always, it's best to get advice from your local stewards or business agents. If you would like to reach out to us with any questions, we have an email address, 767realitycheck@gmail.com. That's 767realitycheck@gmail.com.
And remember, strong people stand up for themselves, but the strongest people stand up for others.